good morning, afternoon. There's a common advice that circulates in our culture: don't tell people about your problems. But before we assume this is about keeping things bottled up or closing ourselves off, let's dig a little deeper into what this truly means. We live in a world where we are encouraged to be strong, self-sufficient, and independent. We are told that asking for help is a sign of weakness, and sharing our burdens with others might make us a burden. But let me offer a different perspective. There is power in deciding where and to whom we share our struggles. The truth is, there is a difference between vulnerability and oversharing. Vulnerability is about being seen, showing up as your authentic self, and embracing the courage it takes to face life's challenges. However, oversharing, particularly with people who are not equipped to support or understand you, can often leave us feeling more isolated than when we started. In our modern world, vulnerability is often misunderstood. Many people believe that being vulnerable means laying out all of your struggles, fears, and emotions for everyone to see. However, vulnerability is not about indiscriminately unloading your burdens onto anyone who will listen. True vulnerability is intentional and thoughtful. It's about choosing the right moments, the right people, and the right context to share your authentic self. When we talk about vulnerability as intentional sharing, we are talking about a deliberate, conscious decision to be open with others in a way that fosters connection, understanding, and healing. It's not about spilling all of your emotions or airing out every challenge you face. Instead, it's about sharing enough to allow others to understand where you're coming from without overwhelming them or losing your sense of agency in the process. I think about it this way: vulnerability is a powerful tool when used in the right context. It can foster trust, intimacy, and a deeper connection with others. But when shared with the wrong people or at the wrong time, vulnerability can lead to misunderstandings, judgment, or even emotional harm. That's why intentional sharing is so critical. Being intentional with your vulnerability means knowing when it's appropriate to open up and when it's better to keep certain things to yourself. It's about understanding that there are people in your life who may not be able to handle the depth of what you're going through, or may not be in the right emotional space to offer the support you need. Vulnerability shared with someone who is unprepared or unsympathetic can lead to rejection or shame. So you must choose wisely. This doesn't mean withholding your emotions, but being discerning about where, when, and how you share them. Furthermore, intentional vulnerability is rooted in self-awareness. It's about knowing what you need from the conversation before you begin. Are you seeking empathy, advice, or just someone to listen? Are you looking to connect or to be seen for your true self? Understanding your own emotional needs will help you share in a way that brings you closer to others, rather than creating distance. There's also a sense of responsibility in intentional vulnerability. When you share something personal, it's important to do so with the expectation that the person you're sharing it with will handle your feelings with care. You are trusting them with a piece of your emotional landscape, and they should respect that trust. This doesn't mean expecting perfection from the person you confide in, but it does mean seeking those who are emotionally equipped to meet you with empathy and compassion. When vulnerability is intentional, it also becomes an act of self-respect. You are not dumping your emotional burdens onto anyone who is simply in your proximity. You're choosing to share your struggles in a way that allows you to maintain your dignity, protect your mental well-being, and deepen relationships with those who truly deserve your trust. Vulnerability is an invitation for others to see you in your fullness, to witness your struggles without judgment, and to support you in a meaningful way. This approach to vulnerability also emphasizes that it's okay to not share everything with everyone. It's okay to keep some things for yourself, to hold space for your emotions without needing to make them public. You don't owe your emotional story to every person you meet. Sometimes the most powerful form of vulnerability is simply acknowledging your struggles internally and seeking the right help when you're ready. Being discerning about what you share doesn't make you less authentic or more guarded. It makes you intentional about who you trust and the ways in which you build deeper connections with others. Vulnerability as intentional sharing also encourages a healthier relationship with ourselves. It's about recognizing that while we are all human and all experience pain, we don't need to broadcast that pain to feel heard. We can choose the times and spaces in which we want to be truly seen. Sometimes that means confiding in a close friend, a family member, or a therapist where we know we'll receive the compassion and understanding we deserve. It's an act of self-love to protect our emotional well-being by choosing when and how we share our experiences. In summary, vulnerability is not about oversharing or being emotionally indiscriminate. It's about intentional sharing. It's about being conscious of how much we reveal, who we reveal it to, and what we hope to achieve in the sharing. By being intentional with our vulnerability, we ensure that we are building connections that are meaningful, grounded in trust, and emotionally nurturing. Vulnerability, in this sense, becomes an empowering tool, a means of forging deeper relationships and strengthening our sense of self without losing our sense of in a world where social media and constant connectivity seem to encourage sharing every part of our lives. It's crucial to recognize that not everyone deserves access to your story. The truth is, your personal narrative, your struggles, triumphs, fears, and vulnerabilities is sacred. It's a part of who you are, and like any precious thing, it should be handled with care and respect. Not every person in your life or in the world is capable of holding the weight of your truth in a way that honors your experiences and emotions. When we talk about who deserves to hear our stories, we're also talking about trust. The people we allow to see us at our most raw and vulnerable are those we trust deeply. Trust is a fragile thing. It takes time to build, and it can be easily broken if we place our stories in the wrong hands. It's essential to consider not just how much of ourselves we're willing to reveal, but also who we're revealing it to and whether they will treat our vulnerabilities with the respect and care they deserve. This idea is especially important because sharing personal struggles or difficult emotions with someone who isn't emotionally capable of understanding or supporting you can be deeply damaging. When we entrust someone with our story, we hope they will offer empathy, compassion, and understanding. But not everyone has the emotional maturity, capacity, or interest to support us in meaningful ways. If we share our struggles with someone who dismisses or invalidates them, the result can be emotional harm or even shame. Sometimes people may respond with judgment, indifference, or even criticism, which can deepen our sense of isolation, making us feel misunderstood or unworthy. This can leave scars that take much longer to heal than the struggles themselves. It's important to remember that sharing your story is a vulnerable act, and it requires a certain level of emotional safety. Vulnerability is not just about opening up, it's about trusting that the person who hears your story will hold it with respect and sensitivity. This trust is not something that can be easily earned. It takes time, consistency, and the proven ability to listen and understand without judgment. Those who have earned this trust are the people who have shown up for you, who have demonstrated empathy and support when you've needed it most. They are the ones who have earned the right to hear your truth, and you, in turn, are safe in sharing it with them. When we open up to the wrong people, we may find that our vulnerabilities are either ignored or used against us. This happens often in relationships where there is an imbalance of power or understanding. People who have not earned your trust might use your personal struggles as a way to manipulate, belittle, or control you. This is why choosing carefully who you share your story with is not only important for your emotional health, but also for your sense of safety. Moreover, not every person in your life needs to know everything about you. There's wisdom in recognizing that some aspects of your journey, especially your most intimate struggles, are meant for only a select few. Just because someone is close to you or a part of your social circle doesn't mean they have earned the right to access the full depth of your inner world. There are parts of you that should remain private, not because you're hiding them, but because they are precious and deserve to be shared only with those who can appreciate them. There's also a difference between transparency and oversharing. While transparency can foster deeper connections and understanding, oversharing can lead to emotional exhaustion and disconnection. Not everyone needs to know the intricate details of your past, the things that keep you up at night, or the challenges you are facing. These intimate parts of your story are not for everyone. They are for the people who have earned your trust, who understand your worth, and who are ready to listen with an open heart and mind. Oversharing, especially with people who are not emotionally invested in your well-being, can often feel like an act of desperation rather than a genuine desire for connection. It's also important to recognize that at times sharing too much with the wrong people can impact how we view ourselves. When we open up to someone who agency isn't prepared to listen or who doesn't respond empathetically, we might begin to internalize negative feedback or judgments that erode our self-esteem. We might start to believe that our struggles are too much, that we are too needy, or that our pain is something to be ashamed of. The fear of being judged, rejected, or misunderstood can become a barrier to further vulnerability, making it even harder to open up to those who do deserve to hear our story. Choosing to share our struggles with the right people also means that we are choosing to honor ourselves. We are saying, I value myself enough to trust only those who will care for me in return. This is a powerful act of self-respect and self-love. It acknowledges that we deserve to be treated with kindness and that our personal stories, our pain, and our joy should be shared only with those who can ultimately. Sharing our stories is about finding the balance between openness and self-protection. It's about understanding that your story is yours to tell and that you have the agency to decide who gets to hear it. By choosing to share with those who have earned your trust, you create a support system that helps you heal, grow, and thrive. You protect your energy, your emotional well-being, and your sense of self-worth. Not everyone deserves to hear your story, and that's okay. You don't owe anyone an explanation or an invitation to your inner world. Your story is yours to share, and you get to decide when and with whom it's shared. There's a common misconception in our culture that we are the sum of our struggles, that the difficulties we face in life somehow become the essence of who we are. We often hear phrases like, life is what happens to you, as if our challenges, our moments of failure, pain, or hardship are the only true reflections of our identity. However, I want to challenge that belief and remind you that your struggles do not define you. While struggles are an inevitable part of life, they are only one aspect of a much larger, more complex picture. At the core of this message is the understanding that our struggles, no matter how difficult or overwhelming, are only temporary chapters in our journey. They do not write the story of who we are. They are simply experiences we navigate, often shaping our growth and resilience, but they should never be allowed to dictate our worth or define our potential. We are so much more than the challenges we face. Our value, our identity, and our future are shaped by how we rise above those challenges, not by the challenges themselves. It's easy to fall into the trap of identifying with our struggles. When we experience hardship, it can feel as though our entire world has shifted, and we begin to believe that the struggle we're in is who we've become. If we lose a job, face a financial setback, endure a loss, or confront a mental health battle, it's natural to feel that those difficulties are an inseparable part of our identity. We might even begin to say things like, I'm broken, or I'll never be able to move past this. But when we allow ourselves to be defined by our struggles, we limit our ability to grow, heal, and evolve. Think about the times in your life when you've overcome difficulties, whether big or small. You didn't let the hardship define you. You may have felt lost, hopeless, or unsure, but there was a part of you that kept moving forward, kept fighting for a better day. Your ability to rise, to keep going despite the pain, is where your true identity lies. It's not in the struggle, but in your strength, resilience, and capacity for transformation. The stories of people who have experienced incredible adversity, whether it's overcoming illness, facing trauma, or enduring personal loss, are full of examples of how struggles can be the catalyst for deep personal growth. These individuals didn't let their circumstances define them. Instead, they allowed those struggles to inform their journey, to teach them valuable lessons, but never to fully dictate who they were. Their strength was not in avoiding struggle, but in how they carried themselves through it and how they used it to become wiser, more compassionate, and more grounded. Their identity was built not on the wounds they endured, but on the way they healed and moved forward. It's also crucial to remember that defining ourselves by our struggles can lead to unhealthy patterns of thinking. When we identify too strongly with our hardships, we risk becoming trapped in a cycle of negativity. We start to see ourselves as victims of our circumstances, focusing on what's been taken from us, rather than what we still have within us. This can lead to feelings of helplessness and despair. But when we choose to see ourselves beyond our struggles, we tap into a deeper well of inner strength, hope, and possibility. Our ability to overcome, adapt, and grow from adversity shows us who we truly are: resilient, capable, and strong. Moreover, it's important to acknowledge that struggles do not diminish our worth. Society sometimes sends the message that success, happiness, or personal value is only earned through the absence of difficulty or pain. But nothing could be further from the truth. Our worth isn't determined by how smoothly our lives go or how many setbacks we avoid. It's determined by our intrinsic humanity, our capacity for kindness, love, courage, and compassion. Struggles may affect us, they may challenge us, but they do not take away from our inherent worth. There's also a transformative aspect of life that comes from realizing that we are not just the victims of our circumstances. We have the power to change the way we respond to life's challenges, and in doing so, we change the narrative of our lives. Our struggles may shape us, but they do not control the direction of our future. You are not destined to be defined by your past experiences. You have the agency to shape your future, to choose how you interpret and react to your struggles. This perspective shifts the focus from seeing ourselves as a product of our difficulties to seeing ourselves as the architects of our own journey. Additionally, embracing this mindset allows us to stop comparing ourselves to others. We live in a world where it's easy to look at someone else's life and assume they are without struggle, without difficulty. But that's simply not the case. Everyone has their own battles. Some people are better at hiding them. Others may wear them more openly, but no one is exempt from challenges. It's essential to recognize that the struggles of others do not define them, just as our struggles do not define us. Each person's life is full of complexity, and comparing our struggles to others only robs us of the opportunity to embrace our own unique journey. A powerful part of not allowing our struggles to define us is the realization that we can redefine the meaning of our hardships. We can choose to see them not as markers of failure, but as opportunities for growth. Struggles teach us about our limits, our strengths, and our capacity for transformation. When we choose to see our struggles as part of our story rather than our identity, we open ourselves up to healing and personal development. These experiences become stepping stones rather than roadblocks, guiding us toward a future filled with potential and possibility. Finally, to say that our struggles don't define us is not to dismiss their impact. We must honor and process our challenges, not ignore them. But by understanding that we are not our struggles, we free ourselves from the belief that they will forever hold power over us. We allow ourselves the space to heal, to rebuild, and to grow into the person we were always meant to be, beyond the pain we have faced. In the end, you are not defined by what you've endured or what you're going through. You are defined by your ability to rise above it. By choosing to see yourself as more than your struggles, you give yourself the freedom to shape your identity, to step into your full potential, and to live a life that reflects the strength, resilience, and beauty within you. Your struggles may be a part of your journey, but they do not dictate who you are or who you can become. Your true self lies in the choices you make, the courage you show, and the love you give, no matter what challenges you face along the way.in today's fast-paced, digitally driven world, the idea of connection has evolved. We are more connected than ever before, yet many of us experience a sense of loneliness or emotional disconnection. It's easy to mistake superficial interactions or the mere presence of others as true connection, but deep, meaningful connection requires much more than just physical proximity or social media interactions. It demands authenticity, vulnerability, mutual respect, and a shared understanding. Finding the right kind of connection, one that nurtures and supports us, is essential for our emotional well-being and personal growth. At its core, a true connection is one that makes us feel seen, heard, and understood. It's not just about having someone to talk to, but having someone who can truly listen and empathize with our experiences. This kind of connection allows us to be our authentic selves without fear of judgment or rejection. It's about being able to share our thoughts, feelings, and struggles with someone who offers a space of compassion and understanding. Finding the right kind of connection involves identifying people who are capable of meeting us in our vulnerability and offering us the emotional support we need. One of the first steps in finding the right kind of connection is understanding that not every relationship is meant to be deeply intimate or emotionally fulfilling. In our lives, we interact with many different people, from acquaintances and coworkers to family members and close friends. Each of these relationships can play an important role, but not all of them will provide the level of emotional depth or mutual support that we need for true connection. This is an important distinction because it helps us avoid the pressure of expecting too much from relationships that are not built for deep emotional sharing. Not everyone in your life is meant to be a close confidant, and that's okay. Recognizing the difference between different types of relationships allows us to focus our energy on building the connections that truly matter. In the search for meaningful connection, we must first start with ourselves. We cannot expect to find authentic connection with others if we are not first connected to our own emotions, values, and needs. Self-awareness is the foundation of any healthy relationship. When we are clear about who we are and what we value, we are better equipped to recognize people who resonate with us on a deeper level. This is why self-reflection and emotional intelligence are crucial in the process of finding the right kind of connection. If we don't understand ourselves, we may find ourselves seeking out relationships based on superficial traits or unmet needs, leading to unfulfilling or even toxic connections. True connection also requires vulnerability. Vulnerability is the willingness to open up, to show our true selves, and to share our innermost thoughts and feelings. However, vulnerability is not something we should give away indiscriminately. It's important to choose the right people with whom to share our vulnerabilities. Those who will respect our openness, hold our feelings with care, and offer us the support we need. Vulnerability in the wrong hands can lead to rejection, misunderstanding, or even emotional harm. This is why it's essential to find people who are emotionally capable of engaging with us at a deep level, those who will listen with empathy, offer kindness, and create a safe space for us to be our authentic selves. The right kind of connection also requires mutual respect and understanding. Healthy relationships are built on a foundation of give and take, where both parties are invested in each other's well-being. This means that connection is not one-sided. It's not about finding someone who only takes from us, whether that's our time, energy, or emotional resources. Instead, it's about creating a relationship where both people are willing to give and receive in equal measure. This kind of reciprocal exchange fosters trust, deepens intimacy, and strengthens the bond between individuals. Mutual respect means honoring each other's boundaries, perspectives, and needs. It's about creating a relationship where both people feel valued, heard, and seen. In the process of finding the right kind of connection, it's also important to recognize that true connection is not always easy. It requires time, effort, and patience. In a world that often values instant gratification and quick fixes, we may be tempted to rush into relationships that seem promising on the surface, but lack the emotional depth we need. Meaningful connections take time to cultivate. They grow through shared experiences, open communication, and the willingness to navigate challenges together. Whether it's a friendship, romantic relationship, or family bond, the right kind of connection involves investment from both parties. It's not something that can be rushed, nor is it something that can be forced. Sometimes the most meaningful relationships are the ones that develop slowly Over time, as trust is built and shared experiences create a deeper understanding of one another. Additionally, the right kind of connection is one that allows us to be our most authentic selves without fear of judgment or rejection. In many relationships, we may feel pressured to conform to others' expectations or to wear masks in order to fit in. But true connection allows us to show up exactly as we are, flaws, imperfections, and all. When we can be real with others without the need to put on a facade, we create the space for others to do the same. This openness fosters a sense of mutual trust and acceptance that is the foundation of any deep, lasting connection. Another critical aspect of the right kind of connection is emotional safety. Emotional safety means being in a space where you can express your feelings, share your vulnerabilities, and make mistakes without fear of being ridiculed or shamed. It's about knowing that the person you're connecting with will hold your emotions gently and offer support rather than criticism. Emotional safety is what allows us to feel comfortable opening up, seeking support, and growing together. Without emotional safety, even the most promising connections can feel stifled or superficial. Finally, the right kind of connection should inspire growth, both individually and together. True connection isn't just about comfort or validation, it's also about challenging each other to be better versions of ourselves. It's about encouraging each other to pursue our passions, to confront our fears, and to become the people we are meant to be. In healthy relationships, we push each other toward growth and self-improvement, while also offering the space to process setbacks and struggles. The right kind of connection is one that helps us evolve, both in our personal lives and in our relationships. In conclusion, finding the right kind of connection is about more than just finding someone to share our lives with. It's about finding someone who resonates with us on a deep, authentic level. It's about cultivating relationships based on mutual respect, vulnerability, emotional safety, and shared growth. True connection is not something that happens overnight, but when we invest the time and effort to find it, it becomes one of the most rewarding and fulfilling aspects of our lives. It's about being seen and heard for who we truly are, and in turn, offering the same to others. The right kind of connection is the one that makes us feel more alive, more understood, and more capable of facing life's challenges with strength and resilience. In a world where we are constantly surrounded by people, whether in physical spaces or through the screens of our phones, many of us still feel profoundly disconnected. We live in a time where it's easier than ever to reach out to someone, but at the same time, many of our interactions remain shallow, surface level, or emotionally distant. While we may have countless acquaintances or followers, finding the right kind of connection that truly nourishes our soul and fosters growth is a far more complex pursuit. The search for genuine, meaningful connection is essential to our emotional well-being and mental health, as we are wired for connection and belonging. The first step in finding the right kind of connection is to recognize that not all relationships are meant to be deep or meaningful. Society often encourages us to collect a wide range of connections, friends, colleagues, acquaintances, without stopping to question the depth or quality of these interactions. We may feel pressure to fill our lives with as many relationships as possible, but the truth is that a few solid, deeply fulfilling connections can have a far greater impact on our happiness than a large number of superficial ones. The right kind of connection is one where we feel seen, heard, and understood. It is not about quantity, but about the quality of the bonds we form. Finding the right connection means surrounding ourselves with people who resonate with us on a deeper level. These are the people who not only accept us, but truly understand us, our values, passions, fears, and dreams. It's a connection where we don't have to hide parts of ourselves out of fear of judgment. In fact, the right people will encourage us to be our authentic selves, to express our emotions freely, and to share our vulnerabilities. This kind of connection creates a sense of safety and trust, which are essential for any meaningful relationship. It is through the safety of being truly seen and heard that we allow ourselves to grow. In order to find the right kind of connection, it's also important to acknowledge that vulnerability is a crucial part of the process. Vulnerability is not about oversharing or exposing every aspect of ourselves indiscriminately, but rather about allowing ourselves to show up authentically and without pretense. This might mean sharing our fears, our insecurities, or our dreams, things that we don't often talk about, with just anyone. True connection happens when both people feel comfortable being vulnerable with one another without fear of rejection or misunderstanding. It's not about perfection, it's about honesty and openness. It's about letting go of the facades we often put up and allowing someone to see us in our truest form. However, while vulnerability is important, it is equally essential to understand that not every person is capable of holding our vulnerabilities with the care and respect they deserve. This is where discernment comes into play. The right kind of connection requires us to carefully choose who we let in. It's about finding those people who have earned our trust, those who have demonstrated time and time again that they will honor our emotional openness and handle our vulnerabilities with empathy. This doesn't mean everyone has to be perfect or flawless, but rather that they are willing to listen, to understand, and to offer compassion. Sometimes this means stepping back and allowing relationships to develop gradually, ensuring that trust is built over time before we share the most intimate parts of ourselves. In the search for meaningful connection, we must also recognize that it requires effort and reciprocity. A connection is not a one-sided affair. It takes two people to build a strong bond, and both individuals need to be equally invested in nurturing the relationship. True connection is not about taking and giving in unequal measures. It is about a mutual exchange of support, love, understanding, and respect. We all need people who lift us up, but we also need to be people who are willing to lift others. The right kind of connection is one where both individuals care for one another, where both offer help when needed and share in each other's joys and struggles. It's about supporting each other's growth and providing a sense of stability and safety. This type of reciprocal connection also involves emotional availability. Emotional availability is the ability to show up for someone emotionally, whether that's listening to them when they need to talk, offering comfort when they're upset, or celebrating their successes with genuine joy. Emotional availability is about being present and attuned to one another's needs, and it's a critical component of any meaningful relationship. If we seek connection with people who are emotionally unavailable, we may find ourselves feeling disconnected, unheard, or emotionally drained. The right kind of connection requires emotional presence from both parties. Another important aspect of finding the right connection is recognizing the value of shared values and mutual respect. True connections are often formed when people share common principles, passions, and beliefs. While it's perfectly fine to have relationships with people who have different perspectives, the most nourishing connections tend to occur when both individuals hold similar core values. Whether it's a passion for creativity, a commitment to kindness, or a shared vision for the future, these values form the foundation for trust and understanding. Without a shared sense of respect for each other's values, connection can quickly deteriorate. The right kind of connection doesn't require complete agreement on everything, but it does require a baseline of respect for each other's beliefs and feelings. As we look for the right connections, it's also important to remember that true connections are not about what we can extract from others, but about what we can give. Meaningful relationships are built on generosity, not just in material ways, but emotionally as well. The right kind of connection involves being generous with your time, energy, attention, and love. This generosity fosters mutual trust and creates a foundation of support and care that can weather any storm. It's about showing up for someone when they need you most, even if it's inconvenient. The right connection means prioritizing each other's well-being and investing in the other's happiness and success. Additionally, the right kind of connection is one that allows us to evolve. In healthy relationships, both individuals support each other's personal growth and development. They help each other stretch beyond their comfort zones, challenge their thinking, and encourage them to become better versions of themselves. These relationships celebrate growth and change, offering encouragement and support as we evolve over time. In contrast, unhealthy connections often stifle growth, leaving us feeling stuck or misunderstood. The right people in our lives will help us become who we are meant to be, while also embracing the person we are right now. Finally, finding the right kind of connection involves accepting that not every connection will last forever. Relationships change over time, and some people who were once a close part of our lives may drift away as we evolve and grow in different directions. This doesn't mean the connection was meaningless, it simply means that the nature of the relationship has shifted. It's important to recognize that the right kind of connection doesn't need to be permanent to be valuable. Some relationships serve us for a season, while others are meant to last a lifetime. Understanding the fluidity of relationships can help us let go when necessary and appreciate the beauty of the connections we have in the moment. In conclusion, finding the right kind of connection is about more than just finding someone to share our lives with. It's about cultivating relationships based on mutual respect, trust, vulnerability, emotional availability, and reciprocity. It's about recognizing that we deserve relationships that nourish us, challenge us, and allow us to grow. True connection is not about filling a void, it's about creating bonds that honor our true selves and support our emotional and personal development. When we seek out the right kind of connection, we find not only a sense of belonging, but a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment in our lives. The concept of self-reliance is often celebrated in our society. We value independence, the ability to stand on our own, and the strength to navigate life's challenges without relying on others. From a young age, we are taught the importance of self. Sufficiency to be able to solve our own problems, make our own decisions, and handle adversity on our own. However, this emphasis on self-reliance can sometimes overshadow the equally important skill of knowing when to ask for help. Both self-reliance and the willingness to ask for help are vital components of a well-balanced life, and when combined, they empower us to live more fully and meaningfully. The strength of self-reliance. Self-reliance at its core is the ability to depend on oneself for strength, decision-making, and action. It's about trusting in our own abilities to solve problems, pursue goals, and navigate life's ups and downs. This power of self-reliance lies in the confidence it instills, the resilience it nurtures, and the sense of autonomy it provides. When we are self-reliant, we are in control of our own lives. We are proactive in shaping our futures, rather than being reactive to external circumstances. Self-reliance helps build inner strength, and it allows us to rise above challenges with determination. And perseverance. Being self-reliant is a form of empowerment. It means recognizing our own worth and capabilities. It's about having the belief that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way, and that even when we face adversity, we have the tools, knowledge, and resourcefulness to find solutions. When we practice self-reliance, we gain a deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment that comes from knowing that we can count on ourselves. However, self-reliance is not about being isolated or rejecting the support of others. It's not about trying to do everything on our own just to prove our independence. True self-reliance recognizes that we are capable of handling challenges, but it also acknowledges that we can learn, grow, and thrive with the right support system in place. It's about trusting ourselves to make decisions and take action, but also knowing when it's time to reach out for assistance. While self-reliance is important, asking for help is equally powerful. There is a misconception in our society that asking for help is a sign of weakness or inadequacy. We may feel embarrassed or vulnerable when we admit that we need assistance or support. However, the ability to ask for help is actually a sign of strength, not weakness. It shows self-awareness, humility, and an understanding that no one can do everything alone. In fact, asking for help can enhance our ability to be self-reliant in the long run because it fosters collaboration, learning, and growth. Asking for help is an act of self-respect. It requires us to acknowledge that we don't have all the answers and that it's okay to lean on others when we need guidance, expertise, or support. Whether it's reaching out to a mentor for career advice, asking a friend for emotional support, or consulting a professional for guidance in a difficult situation, asking for help is a way to empower ourselves by building a network of trusted individuals who can offer their wisdom, knowledge, and assistance. It is through these connections that we grow stronger, more capable, and better equipped to handle future challenges. In fact, asking for help can often speed up our progress, prevent burnout, and open up opportunities for new perspectives. When we rely solely on ourselves, we can sometimes get stuck in our own limited thinking. By asking for help, we gain access to new ideas, solutions, and strategies that we may not have considered on our own. This collaborative approach allows us to move forward more effectively and efficiently. Balancing self-reliance with asking for help. The true power comes when we balance self-reliance with the willingness to ask for help. Both are important, but they complement each other in profound ways. Self-reliance is about building the inner strength and confidence to handle challenges, while asking for help is about recognizing when we need others' support to move forward. It's about knowing that we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our own, and that asking for help is not a sign of failure, but rather a strategic choice that can lead to better outcomes. This balance can be challenging because society often places a high value on independence and self-sufficiency, while simultaneously stigmatizing vulnerability and asking for help. However, when we learn to embrace both aspects, self-reliance and asking for help, we create a healthier, more sustainable approach to life. We allow ourselves the space to be independent and resilient, but we also give ourselves permission to lean on others when needed. The key to this balance is emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize our own needs and understand when it's time to take action on our own and when it's time to reach out. Developing this emotional intelligence requires self-awareness, the courage to acknowledge our limitations, and the wisdom to ask for support when necessary. It also requires trust in ourselves to make decisions, and trust in others to offer their help and guidance. The vulnerability of asking for help. One of the biggest barriers to asking for help is the vulnerability it requires. It means admitting that we are not invincible and that we don't have all the answers. In a world that often values strength and stoicism, asking for help can feel like an admission of weakness. But in reality, vulnerability is where true strength lies. It takes courage to admit that we need help. It requires humility to put aside our pride and allow ourselves to be supported by others. When we ask for help, we invite others into our lives. We give them the opportunity to contribute to our growth. And in doing so, we create deeper, more meaningful connections. We show others that it's okay to be human, to have limitations, and to need support. This vulnerability strengthens our relationships and deepens our sense of connection with others because it fosters trust, empathy, and mutual respect. In the same way, when we offer help to others, we show that we recognize their vulnerability and are willing to support them in their struggles. This mutual exchange of vulnerability strengthens bonds and creates a network of care where both parties can rely on each other in times of need. Self-reliance and asking for help in personal growth. The intersection of self-reliance and asking for help is crucial in personal growth. Growth often comes from stepping out of our comfort zones and confronting challenges. While self-reliance encourages us to take the initiative and push through obstacles, asking for help gives us the tools, resources, and support we need to overcome those challenges more effectively. Consider a student working on a difficult project. The self-reliant approach is to gather information, solve problems, and complete the work on their own. However, by asking for help from a teacher, a classmate, or a mentor, the student can gain additional insights, learn new techniques, and refine their ideas. This combined approach, relying on our own abilities and being open to external support, creates a richer, more comprehensive learning experience. Similarly, in our personal lives, balancing self-reliance with seeking help can lead to healthier relationships, greater emotional resilience, and more effective problem-solving. We may be able to handle most challenges on our own, but when we reach out for support, we gain new perspectives and coping strategies that enhance our personal growth and ability to navigate future difficulties. The power of self-reliance and asking for help lies not in choosing one over the other, but in recognizing the value of both. Self-reliance builds confidence, resilience, and independence, while asking for help opens the door to learning, collaboration, and emotional support. Life is complex, and no one is expected to face every challenge alone. By embracing both self-reliance and the power of asking for help, we can live more balanced, fulfilling lives. We gain the strength to stand on our own when necessary and the humility to lean on others when the situation calls for it. Ultimately, this balance makes us stronger, more compassionate, and better equipped to navigate the complexities of life. In closing, let us remember that life is not about walking alone or bearing the weight of the world in isolation. The true power lies in understanding when to stand on our own 2 feet and when to reach out for a hand to hold. Self-reliance is vital as it builds our confidence and resilience, but asking for help is not a weakness. It is a strategic choice that allows us to grow, learn, and connect more deeply with those around us. Embrace the balance of both, for it is in the harmony of independence and interdependence that we find our greatest strength. So, trust yourself, trust others, and remember that true power comes from knowing when to stand tall and when to ask for support. Thank you.